Welcome to Here's the Thing with Robbie and Jose, where we explore relationships through a male and female perspective. With me, as always, is the lovely Robbie.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm well.
I saw you look over at me. I was smiling, and then you started to laugh.
Feels like forever since we've done one, but yeah.
You know, we have lives too.
Do we?
Got things we got to do. We're doing our Love is Blind episodes. This one we're going to do a little bit different. So we usually do one episode at a time, but this time we're going to do 2 episodes together. This is going to be episode 5 and 6. There is a lot of things that goes on in this show. So we're not going to talk about the show, everything about it. It's just these kind of key things that the people in there find themselves, in. So if you're coming here for a blow by blow of the show, this isn't for you. This is just lightly touching on some things.
We should change the name, right? It's Love is Blind-ish.
Yeah. Exactly.
But
yeah, so when we open up, we're still at the honeymoon. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was Zenab and Cole were on the beach and we find out that he, I guess, surfs. He's a jack of all trades.
yeah, look at him.
I know. Look
And
at
he was
Cole.
in Dallas, so he must be from, did they ever say he's from somewhere else?
I don't know where.
Because there's not a lot of surfing places in Dallas. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, you just can't really pick that up. So it has
Yeah.
to be from one of the coasts. I'm
Maybe
sure.
or maybe he has a family that travels a lot. I mean, some people, they go to the beach every summer as a family. So
Look, I went surfing one time in Hawaii. It was not pretty.
I cannot imagine you on a surfboard.
Well, they give you these big, giant surfboards, by the way. They're like, I don't know, maybe like 13 feet long. They're huge, and you have to carry them around. And I think it's because that way you don't fall, right? So it's harder to fall off of this big, giant surfboard.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was rough.
Are they really heavy? Like, how much do they weigh?
That one was, yeah. I couldn't tell you, but it was pretty heavy. And then you get in the water, and then you go. But again, it's meant for beginners. And then later on, the surfboards get smaller and smaller. But yeah, it was fun. I'm glad I did it.
Yeah.
I surfed for every bit of maybe 3 seconds. And that was it. And after that, I fell down, and that was it. I was like, hey, got that
And
out
you're
of
like,
the way.
okay, I got to go to the bar.
Bucket list done.
Yeah.
Let's go.
But one of the things that I thought about when they were doing this, because Zenab was on the beach and she was just watching him. Obviously, if you don't know how to surf, like that, you can't surf. Like you're just going to be watching. But and then something in this comes up later at the pool party where she's just kind of standing by and kind of watching him. So I was thinking about, do you have a preference on, I mean, obviously if you're in a relationship, you kind of want to do things with your partner, but would it make you feel weird if you were with someone like Zenab who just kinds to like watch from afar?
Yes.
It does. Okay.
Yeah, because, I was at one point somewhat of a stick in the mud myself. And then I realized that, yeah, it's no fun. As I've gotten older, I like to do more things and take more chances.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's all about image, because I know we're kind of bouncing around, but let's just say go back to the pool thing, right? Or even in the beach, she didn't want to get wet.
Well,
Like she's like, it took me a long time.
Exactly. And I can understand though, because she had a whole outfit.
And don't get me wrong, totally understand that. But let me just say, at the end of and I don't know, maybe everybody's going to be different, but when you're in your twilight of your years, are you really going to be thinking about how good I looked, or are you thinking about the experience, whether you went out swimming and having fun? So when I went out vacation with my son, and this is my son, it's not even my romantic partner, but we were at the beach and it was cold. I get really cold. I don't want to get in there because I know it's freezing, but he wanted to go jump in the water, and he was in there by himself, and it was just him and I, and he was just like, Dad, come on. So I was like, I don't want to, but I know that he's going to remember this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do it for him. And so I jumped in the water. We had a great time. We were jumping around, flapping around, doing whatever. But again, if I would have been like, no, I don't want to get wet, or no, I don't want to do, like, yeah, he still would have had fun, but it would have been different. You know what I mean?
I think it's just different for women because, like she was saying, it's like a whole outfit. It's a whole ensemble. We want to be cute for these like events. So it's hard. Like if I was going to an event where it would be like really hot, but I also wanted to be cute, and it's like, it's just hard.
Oh, that dilemma of yours. What do I do? Do I have fun or do I look cute? I don't know. I would say, can't you meet in the middle? Take all your pictures at the beginning, and then afterwards go jump in the pool and get wet.
That's
and
probably
have
what
fun.
it is. What I think she eventually got in the pool, but yeah, she's not going to be, I think in the honeymoon too, that part where they were in the pool, like she didn't want to get her hair wet.
Yeah.
And so I can understand. It's like, yeah, because it's a whole process of all the stuff you have to put in there and air dry it, then straighten it, then curl it. Then, there's a lot of things.
I
So
don't know.
like I get
I don't
it.
know. I mean, guys can't get away with that same logic. I mean, like just because it's a lot of effort, so what? If a guy were to do that and be like, "No, I don't want to go to the beach because then I got to get everything in the car, I got to get everything set up, I got to go do this, I got to," they'd be like, "Dude, stop complaining, just get stuff in the car.
Well, we have
Let's
to
just get
pack
it."
and
I
stuff
know we
too.
all do, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. I just kind of feel like I get what you're saying, and if it was that kind of party,
Yeah.
okay, fine and dandy. But he's trying to have fun
Yeah.
with this, and I remember like. So I've seen it in older couples where, like, let's say the father and the mother is more outgoing, so they'll go into the water, and the other is sitting back reading a book,
Yeah.
and that's just how you remember your vacations. Like, yeah, I remember hanging out with my dad; he wasn't jumping around in the pool, snorkeling, doing all this. My mom, oh, she was reading a book. That's
think-
about the extent of
Yeah.
her vacation time. She was sitting back reading a book, and that's fine for her, but you're not building those memories.
I think for that instance, I would be, if I was Zenab, I would have been in at the beach because it's a very intimate thing. I would have been in the water with him and like that kind of thing. And then the pool party, that I can understand having a whole, if I was invited to a pool party, it was kind of like, upscale where people are wearing bathing suits, but they're wearing jewelry and stuff, like it's a whatever. Then it's like, yeah, I may not get in the water because I have a whole thing. But if it's just me and him at the beach, I wouldn't be wearing makeup. I wouldn't be, well, I know they're filming, but like, so, but I'm just saying, like, under normal circumstance, if I go to the beach with my boyfriend or husband, I'm not wearing makeup. I'm not dressed up. I know I'm going to get wet. My
Yeah.
hair, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Well, yeah. So just to pivot a little bit, right? Just to real quick, because in that when they started talking and they started eating, right?
Yeah.
Because if you go swimming, anybody that's ever swum in the beach or just in a pool, you come out and you're hungry. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're just starving.
well, why
'Cause
was
you're
she
burnt.
hungry? She didn't go in.
Well, let's talk about that, right? Because it was funny because Cole just can't get out of his own way. And I don't know, it's basically him being young. He doesn't know any better.
Yeah.
Right? But she was saying something like, "Oh, you're fattening me up," and he said something along the lines of, "You're fattening yourself up."
Yeah,
It's
why he
I'm
said
not
that.
feeding you. Well, because I guess his implication is I'm not feeding you. Like,
Yeah.
you're bringing the food up to your own mouth. But again, why he would say that, you're right. And then on top of that, right? I think what it was, they start talking about the weight thing.
Or it
For
was like,
any guys, do not talk about weight with your girlfriends or your wives or any females. Don't talk about weight. Avoid that subject.
she asked weird questions though too, because he was saying that she wasn't the typical girl that he goes for, and she was like, "Is that hard for you?" Like, what?
She's very sore about that. And I kind of get why she's like that, but I don't get why.
Well, I mean,
she's
he's
like that.
obviously attracted to her. They had a very, according to them, the night before was very
Oh, yeah, look at
sexual. So,
them.
like, he's attracted to her.
Yeah.
So, why is she making it sound like she's so disgusting to him?
I think, well, obviously, because he said a few things about Colleen, and Colleen being small, little petite,
Yeah.
little thing that she is, a ballet dancer of all things. Like, so if he's making, comments about her, obviously Zainab is going to feel a certain kind of way about that. But at the same time, so because they got into it later on, because that was a reoccurring theme and it comes up quite often, right? I don't know exactly what it is that she wants out of him. Because here's the thing, and in that same scene, and this is why because I wrote it down in my notes, because her whole thing, and this is the opening of that particular episode, she's talking about, "Oh, I love his honesty. He's so honest. I just love his honesty." Do you? Do you really like his honesty?
Nobody likes a man's honesty.
And see, that's the part I think when people say that there's a follow-up to that, right? So for women, sometimes when they say, "I want you to be honest," it doesn't mean that they want you to be 100% honest.
Well, I just think
It
there's-
almost feels like I want you to tell me what I want to hear, not necessarily honesty. Because and I've seen it more often than not, they get in trouble for being honest.
You can be honest, but you don't have to say everything that's on your mind. That doesn't make you dishonest if you just leave some things out like that. Like, I don't.
I love it. I love it. I love it. It's great logic. Don't get me wrong. I'm with you. I'm on Team Robbie on this one. Let's leave some stuff out.
Because
don't
I mean,
say
like
everything. Got you.
The way he was talking about Colleen, like, yeah, it's gonna hurt Zenab. It's gonna give her a complex about Colleen in particular. Like, you didn't have to go into, when I mean, this is another scene, but he was like, "You want me to say like, no, I don't have eyes. No,
Yeah.
she's not." Like, well, why do you have to say that?
Because she did ask.
I know, but like, you can just say like, yes, if you want to be honest, you can say, yes, I found her attractive, but I'm with you. I want to be with you, and leave it as that. Don't go on and on about like,
but he's done that. She won't let it be. She won't let it be. And that's the part that I don't understand. I guess from a woman's perspective, I wanted to ask you, if you know, what is it that she wants from him exactly? Because he's apologized already. So what else does she want?
I think that she just can't get over it, and she just wants to keep harping on it, which I don't understand. If I was with someone and they said something like that really hurt me, I don't think that I would be bringing it up again. Like, I'm going to try to forget that ever happened because I don't want to continue to feel bad. So why would I ask you every time? Like, why are you attracted to her? Like, what is it about her?
And that's the whole thing. I think people, they tend to hold that in. You really. And I've mostly seen it on women. I've seen like a couple of things on TikTok about it. I was watching a comedian on Netflix, Ramesh, and I can't remember his last name, but he was talking about the same thing, that he was watching Game of Thrones with his wife, and there was a nude scene from this girl. She comes out and he's like, "Hello," and that's all he said was "hello." I'm doing his act, I'm butchering it, but he was just like, "Hello." And then he stops and he pauses for like a good, I don't know, maybe a minute. And then he says, 4 months later. She brings it up again 4 months later. But again, it's like you can't let it go. I don't know why. It's just that way. I don't know what it is about people comparing themselves to other people. That's
what I'm saying. If I was hurt by it, I would say in that moment, like, why would you say that to me? And then, but after we talk about it that one time, I'm not going to keep talking about it. Like I said, I don't want to keep reminding myself of that event. Yeah. So why would I continue to bring it up? I'm going to tell you it hurt. If you sit there and go on and on about how hot some girls in front of me, yeah, I'm going to let you know. But like, I'm not going to be like, oh, remember that one time? Like, I don't want to think about it anymore.
I don't know, man. Like, gals tend to do that sometimes. I guess guys do too if it's unresolved or whatever. I mean, speaking of unresolved, but, I know we're going to jump around a lot, but, like Matt and Colleen, they're adjacent to these guys, right? Because they keep on coming up in conversations. But there's a thing about Matt that I'm I can totally identify with. He's trying so hard to pretend that he's over what traumatic experience happened to him.
Dude.
And it's clearly he's not. But he cheated. So again, anybody that doesn't know the show, he was cheated on, right? He had a longtime girlfriend, and then
he was married. They were married. Yes.
Oh, okay. Are you sure?
Yes, I'm 100% positive. They were like high school sweethearts. Yeah. Got married.
Okay.
And then they were together for like 10 years.
Yeah, and then, but he's only like
no, but they met like they met like 15 or whatever they were.
And then she got pregnant. But the guy that she was pregnant with was the guy she was cheating on him with.
And he said that's the last time he spoke with her.
Yeah, and then that was the end of that.
Yeah.
That whole thing. But the point being is that he keeps on going on and on about how he's over it and how he's this, that, but he's really not. I mean, he's trying hard to move past it, but something that traumatic, I don't know.
I would be curious to find out how long ago that was. But if you don't watch the show, it's kind of the same thing with Zenab Cole and Colleen, that whole thing. Colleen thought Cole was cute, and Matt has a problem with that. That's where that fight kind of came up because she didn't really shut it down when they were flirting at the pool.
Exactly.
But yeah, I wrote down that in my notes too, is like, it's very clear that you have not dealt with that, and it triggered him immediately.
Multiple times. He's got one foot out the door sometimes. Like, he's ready to go.
I always has a backpack.
But it is traumatic, and I don't blame the guy. But he I don't think he's over it. he keeps on saying it over and over and this, that, and the other. And he sometimes comes off as, like getting it all together and he's
Yeah.
got it all under control. But there's other times when you can clearly see that it just takes a little bit and all of a sudden he's off the wall.
Well, you and I talk about it all the time about punishing new significant others for past stuff. Like we all try not to, but it's really hard. If you're triggered by something, if you were cheated on or whatever in the worst way, like sometimes the smallest thing could set you off and it's not fair, but we all do it.
And here's the thing. So from that side of Matt, totally understand. But he was, in my opinion, completely correct in saying that Colleen and Cole, when they were having that conversation, was completely inappropriate.
Yes.
And she could have shut it down
yes.
a lot sooner, and she didn't.
Right.
She was having her little fun.
They were both flirting and being feeling cute.
And saying inappropriate things like, if I would have met you, why even go down that avenue?
Yeah.
Why even go down like, hey, if I would have met you in a bar, who knows what would have happened?
Exactly.
Like,
it was really hard to say no to me, wasn't it? It's like...
So that in and of itself, yes, I would have to have a conversation because, and maybe that's the part where the whole Love is Blind, when you're in a bubble like that, you don't have that extra outside forces that can interrupt your relationship, right? Because you're just in a pod. They're in a pod.
Right.
So
you
all your focus, you're just focusing on one person.
Right.
Now all of a sudden, and then you go back to a bunch of girls, right? If you're in the girls' quarter and a bunch of guys, so there's nothing going on, right? Unless but that's a different show, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So that's a different fantasy for me. But anyways, the point being is that they could have shut it down. Now, I don't know. Maybe there's people out there that thought that the conversation was okay and that they saw nothing wrong with it. I don't know. I think for a guy like Matt, if that's happened, you have to be very, very careful how you handle that situation.
Surprised if anybody thought that was okay. And we have to remember all these people are engaged too. So it's not like, if they're both single, it was very innocent, but like these are all engaged people and their partner is at the pool too. And I guess we can I can bring this up because it's kind of on the same topic. When Bartiste and Raven were talking, she did what she should have done. She shut it down.
Shut that down quickly.
I was really proud of her. I was like, Bartiste, that's what you get.
And that's exactly how it goes down too. But I will say this, and I don't know if, so Raven she's cut from a different cloth. She knows that she's good looking. She knows this. So I'm trying to think of if there's ever been a time when she's been insecure, and I can't think of it on the show. I don't think I've ever heard her be like, do you want to be with me? Do you, do you this, that, and the other? If anything, she's the opposite. She's usually like, look, guys are constantly hitting on me.
Yeah.
I'm used to it. This is nothing new. And that's why she took that down, because she was like, well, when we were in the pods, he wouldn't say anything nice about me. Now he's seen me.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden she's like, okay, now you want something, right?
Pod Raven versus the physical Raven, which I really thought her thought process on that was very smart and very mature. And it's like, we can see through your BS.
Bartiste?
Like he didn't say, and then it was crazy too, because he kept trying to say in the pool how compatible they were.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, we're not. We wouldn't have anything to talk about besides working out. Like he's trying to make it sound like they had this really deep connection, which I don't think that they did. And yeah.
Here's my whole thing with that, because every time they interact, and I think this was the first time in the pool. There might have been a different time when they interacted, Raven and Bartiste. Bartiste is trying.
He's still trying.
He's trying, and then she shoots him down in a very polite way, because women, y'all are much better at it than we are. And so she shoots him down, but then when he goes back and talks to Nancy about it, he makes it sound like he was the one that shut it down. He was just like, I was talking to her and I just realized how much I love you instead of her. And it's like, that's not how that conversation went down. You were dipping your little toe and she smacked you. And now all of a sudden you're like, oh, no, I really don't like her. And that's the part, guys do that.
I didn't want to dance with you anyway.
Exactly.
When we shoot you down at the club, I want to dance with you anyway.
But for me, you're absolutely right, because this is, and I've seen even married men do this. You're married, you're engaged. You have no business even trying to dip your toe into anything.
Oh,
You have no business flirting. You have no business trying to be funny. You have no business exploring these alternate scenarios where you guys met at a bar and then you go home with each other. You don't do that. There's no point. That conversation is going to lead you nowhere
but it
good.
works on a lot of women. And because I think about when,
Oh, really? Tell me about that.
like, when married men try to hit on me, it's a huge turnoff because I'm like, what are you doing? But a lot of women, it's just about the attention and they'll gobble it right up and they may start an affair with you. You know what I mean? But like, I kind of look down on those guys. It's like, dude, you're married and you're really trying to see if like, hey, you want to go like hang out. You're trying to make it seem like you want to be friends with me. But dude, I know exactly what you're trying to do.
Well, the whole flirting thing, right? Sometimes it could be innocent and you think it's innocent, but
But
you're
why would a
playing with
married
fire.
guy try to like go and hang out with me and him? Like, there's no reason. That's not flirting.
Because again, they're it's that whole thing is I'm kidding unless you're willing to do it kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah, you have an easy out. I'll be like, oh, well, aren't you married? You're like, oh, I was just playing. Like, no, you do that to 100 women. Someone's gonna say, yeah, let's go to the mall. I'll help you find an outfit for your whatever. Like
The laundry, yeah, let's go to
yeah, they're
Victoria's
like, oh, you
Secret.
dress really well. Can you help me pick out a suit? Like, I don't know what to buy.
You're like the same size as my wife. Can you come in there and try this on and see if it looks good on you?
So ridiculous. But I mean, the Raven and Bartiz conversation versus the Cole and Colleen. And I wonder like if they look back on it, like the reunion or whatever. I don't know if they bring it up or whatever, but like, it's like, yeah, Raven did it the way she was supposed to.
Yeah.
And if it's that easy for her, how come everybody else, and we've seen it in other seasons too, how come they can't do it?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. My whole stance on that is that, if you're not committed, things like this will happen.
Right.
That's just the way I see it. Now, let's just say if I were to play devil's advocate, they just got engaged like a week ago. They didn't know each other.
That's true.
Or whatever, however long they've been in the pods.
Yeah.
They don't really say. How many weeks are they in the pod?
It's 10 days in the pod.
10 days in the pod, right? So they've only been engaged for like a day or two, in all fairness.
Yeah, the loyalty is not there.
Right, it's not there. And I think, so what I was going with that is that sometimes when you're single, you can't help but flirt and be that way.
Yeah.
Because you're single, so you're kind of putting yourself out there.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, but in the real world, it takes a little bit of time, and then after a while, especially if you're goo goo gaga for that person, you stop trying to flirt with anybody else. Now you're like, no, I'm focused on, the only person I have on my mind is this person. But I don't know. I think it was the whole novelty of it all that, I'm finally seeing you, like I'm putting a face to a
And
voice.
now you're in a bikini.
Now you're in a bikini and you look better than I thought you were going to look. Like I had no idea what you look like. And now all of a sudden I'm seeing you and you're like, wow, you're like even better.
I just don't understand what his end game was. Was he thinking like maybe if I kind of change her mind, we could be like, I don't know. I just don't see the point of that on this show. And they know everything is filmed. And it's like, I just don't get what he thought was going to happen from that.
I kind of almost feel like, again, we were talking about this earlier. If you're not committed, and I mean like fully committed, and that implies everything, and I mean everything, then you're always going to have an escape plan.
Yeah.
And that's part of it. It's an escape plan. Like, hey, if it doesn't work out between me and Zainab,
He's trying to get backups and everything.
but that's just me. That's just what I've noticed is that if you look forward and you're not really thinking about other people, whatever, then that really shouldn't be it. But I don't know, people are weird that way.
Yeah.
People like to feel desired. People like that game. I don't know why, and they sometimes like to be desired by somebody other than their partner for some odd reason.
Yeah. And guys, I mean, and from what I know, it's harder for guys to say no if a beautiful woman is all over you. It's really hard. And
It's extremely hard. Yeah.
if it's stroking your ego, then like it only takes that split second and you guys are already doing something. And then it's like, if you're married, that's it. You can't turn back. It's like, you're already, you know what I mean?
You can't.
So it's like, but it's really sad because I do like Nancy and I don't know why he can't just be happy with you have a beautiful, sweet girl that's 100% into you. Like, just enjoy that.
Because he doesn't physically like her.
I don't know.
That's what it boils down to. At the end of the day, that's what it boils down. He keeps on trying to say like he's not superficial, but he is. And he said it. He just keeps on saying it in a roundabout way. He goes on about, I can't say that it's not. It really is, and blah 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 blah. It's like it is. It is, and that's what it boils down to. I think people have a hard time admitting that.
Yeah.
I think people have a really hard time admitting
Yeah, because it doesn't sound good to say I care more about looks than anything else. And it does matter. Looks matter.
Absolutely, they matter. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Well, yes and no. I think me personally, I think you can develop that. I think I'd kind of take because we've talked about that women can do that.
Yeah.
I think men can too. There has to be a little bit
Yeah.
of attraction. Don't get me wrong. You can't be completely unattracted to that person.
Yeah.
If there's a little bit. It actually
grow.
can build quite a bit, right? But I think, and this is where I think people get caught up with it, right? It's again the outside forces.
Yeah.
So, and I'll be honest with you. So when I was married, and I was married for 15 years, right? But there were times, even maybe like 10 years into our marriage, where I fantasized about having sex with my wife, and she was my wife. So I could, granted she was gone a lot, right? So she was a flight attendant. But there were times when I was like, man, I can't wait till she gets home. Like it's gonna be on. It never really occurred to me like seeing another woman and being like, oh, I'd like to get with her. Mm-hmm. I was married, and I was like, okay, I don't want to think about that. A third person. I want to think about my wife, and so I would, think about having sex with her.
You know, it made me think of that movie "I Love You, Man," where Paul Rudd was talking about how he jerked off to his own girlfriend, and what's his face, Jason Ritter. He's like, ugh. Yeah, it's like you're nasty, like jerk off to your own girlfriend.
Well, because I mean, how can I explain it? When you're really into somebody like that, that's the way to keep them interested.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's going to be, if you look at it objectively and say like, oh, there are other women that are more symmetrical and prettier and hippier, or big breasts, big booty, whatever it is that you're into. Of course, if you're going to be comparing your wife to every other woman out there, there's going to be other women that are going to have features that you would prefer more.
Yeah.
But what good does that do you in the end? I mean, it really doesn't do you. You had no business getting married. If you wanted the buffet of life, you shouldn't have gone to a steakhouse. No. You should have went to Pancho's. I wonder if Pancho's still open, by the way?
Oh, God. I think there's one that I saw. That place is so disgusting. I cannot believe. I can't remember what it's somewhere.
I loved it though, man.
When I was a kid, oh yeah, endless sopapillas and ice cream.
Man, you raise a little flag.
Raise the flag.
That was a beautiful model. I don't know why people don't do that anymore. That was great.
Yeah, because then you don't have to like find your waiter and flag them down.
They leave you alone. They leave you alone until you raise a little flag. Then that lets them know.
At the Brazilian steakhouses, they have that thing that's like green and red, where you want more meat, you have it like green.
I don't go to those fancy places.
Oh. Like fogo de chao or whatever. So it's like a little circle, and if it's red, that means you don't want any meat because they're walking around with all the meat, right? Oh, okay. If it's green, it's like, come on over. Yeah. So it's kind of raised the flag.
I've kind of dabbled maybe trying to become a vegetarian, so I don't eat too much meat sometimes. But every now and then I crave it. Like right now, it's a little cooler.
Why do you want to become a vegetarian?
Because so red meat is hard on you.
Yeah.
And so is like chicken's got a lot of cholesterol and stuff like that. So
we can eat it like maybe once a week.
Yeah, I don't eat a lot of it. But then I just imagine what my life would be like if I went completely vegetarian sometimes.
You'd be angry.
I'd be hangry for sure.
I don't really care that much about meat. Honestly, if you took it out of my diet, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I can't say that.
Most men can't.
It's hard. Don't get me wrong, because like I said, like now that it's cooled down a little bit, I'm craving a lot of red meat.
Because you're like that hibernation mode.
I guess. I don't know, but I'm just like, sometimes I want a steak sometimes, and or fajitas or something like that. But anyways, I digress.
Maybe a steak in the summertime would be harder because you go all like groggy,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I don't want to. Yeah, it's And again, it's harder
good for the summertime, like fish.
Well, I think so. Yeah, fish. Again, chicken is depend on how if it's not all deep fried and battered and stuff. You get away with it.
Nobody wants that. Grilled
chicken. But also red meat is very hard to digest as I get older. I'm not a young man anymore. I'm older, so it takes a while to digest that red meat, and it just sits in there.
Do you know that if you eat a lot of red meat, you stink? because the meat smell comes out of your pores.
Yeesh. Okay.
Okay.
It's taking a turn for the worse.
Totally off topic. Okay.
But yes,
yeah.
yeah. So Bartiz, we're on Bartiz. Yeah, he needs to come to grips with the fact that he doesn't like her, and she knows it too. But she
that
can't really.
what you
do
said,
anything.
like if because she's really sweet and very into him, if he would just stay focused on her, that attraction would probably grow. It would take a little bit of time, but he can't stay focused on her, and that's the problem. But yeah, just to shift to something a little bit lighter, Brennan and Alexa had like a little sweet moment. They were out underneath a tree, I don't know, on a bench talking or whatever. And I really like Alexa because she's very much a fashionista, and she made some comments about not wearing the same outfit twice. And she had this hat that she was toting around for weeks because she wanted to wear it. Like it's a look and
She
all
wore it
the
under the shade. Yeah.
yes. But it made me think of because she was talking about because Brennan is a little bit of a cowboy and she doesn't really like that kind of stuff. And she already starts talking about like, yeah, we're gonna go shopping and that we need to basically change his look, which I feel like most women in a relationship try to change the way their guy dresses because most men don't know how to dress unless you're I mean, you know what I mean? Like the majority of
Okay.
men don't. So like every boyfriend that I've ever had, I had to do a complete makeup.
So here's my only thing. And don't get me wrong, I don't necessarily completely 100% disagree with what you said, but the hypocrisy between men and women is palpable, man. It is the hypocrisy is just too much because if a guy were to do that and tell a woman to dress differently, we would get crucified.
Oh,
and
Kanye
left
West
up-
tried to do that to Kim Kardashian, and the internet took that and was like,
yes. So
how
a
dare you?
guy can't tell a girl, let's say that her normal outfit is jeans and sneakers and a t-shirt. He can't say like, hey, you need to start dressing in skirts and summer dresses because I like them. He would get crucified and there'd be no resurrection from that. You would be done. But a woman can do that. I think part of it is because guys, we really don't care. Like, and they do sometimes they do have a hard time. I think they want to be more fashionable, but can't always pull it off or don't know enough to really kind of dive into that.
I was just going to say, because I think that men are not as creative artistically. You know, you guys are more math, science, right? They talked about like the sides of the brain and everything. And I think putting an outfit together, you have to be artistic, a little bit creative, think outside the box, or how is this going to look with that? And maybe guys are just not as good with that kind of stuff. And that's why you guys...
I don't know. Sometimes guys do like to take risks, but unfortunately, like usually when the guys do that, the girls don't like it too much. The girls are like, let's say they wear a weird Hawaiian shirt and they think, oh, this is cool. The women might be like, no.
Is this person you're talking about you?
No, but like for instance, Cole, because Cole likes to take risks. I mean, I've seen him wear some stuff like, dude, what are you doing? He was wearing jean shorts at one point. I don't know, it was a couple episodes back. Yeah, he was wearing jean shorts. So I know that most women don't like jean shorts. And then he was wearing a Hawaiian. He was wearing a Hawaiian shirt with a 3-piece, like he had a vest and a blazer on, and it was a Hawaiian shirt. And so he takes risks, but it doesn't always land with people.
Yeah.
And especially if the woman that you're with has a different fashion sense, it's not going to land with her.
Most women would just even appreciate if you just wore a button up with some dark jeans. Like we can all appreciate that. But why is it that guys want to dress, no offense, but like the dad jean, relaxed fit kind of, I don't understand.
Because it's being relaxed. It's practicality.
Some guys will say like, well, I just want to be comfortable today, so I wore this. But it's like a sweater, like a kind of a looser, it's just as comfortable as that thing. Women do that too.
Women do that too. Yeah, I was about to say, women, I've seen some women, they're like, I'm going to be comfortable. I don't care what anybody thinks.
Yeah, they're like, I didn't have time. It's like, it takes 2 seconds to throw on a dress and you don't have to think about it. It's one piece. What are you talking about, women?
I didn't say that. Just so that we're clear.
It's just so
that was not Jose.
It's
not Jose.
I know women are going to be
it's
mad
not
at
Jose.
me, but
No, I could care less. I mean, honestly, but see that kind of goes to what we are talking about at the beginning, right? It's like, okay, she wants to look pretty when we're at the beach or out in at a pool party, but who are you trying to look pretty for? Because you already got me. I'm your fiance, right? So if I'm your
But it's a
fiance,
party. It's like if you went
so
to
who are you
like,
trying to look good for?
it just makes you feel good. When
Okay.
you feel good, if I went to, let's say that there was a ball of some sort and I show up in jeans and a t-shirt, I'm not going to feel good. You're going to get
Oh,
dressed
but
up
that's
to make you.
inappropriate because that's a bad scenario because that's inappropriate because the function means that that's how you should dress.
I'm just saying,
So
if
that
I feel good about myself, it obviously is going to make me have a better night because I feel good rather than being like, oh my God, I look terrible or whatever. All women know we have those, days when we're like, I feel so fat, you don't want to go anywhere.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I've done that before too. With if I'm dating somebody and they're just like, oh, I didn't get a chance to do my makeup, or I didn't get a chance to finish it, and this, I'm like, you look great, look fantastic, let's go. But sometimes they just can't get over it, and through the entire night, we got to hear about how things didn't work out, their outfit didn't fit,
Yeah, I
or if
don't
it's
think that
too
has anything
tight,
to do
or this.
about with strangers. It's about how we feel about ourselves.
Yeah, again, I don't
I know
know.
you don't understand. I'm just saying that
No,
it's
I mean
not.
I get it, but it tends to put a damper on the night, on the
I
evening, because I'm
understand.
trying to have a good time, and I think you're gorgeous, but you, for whatever reason, don't like it, and now I got to hear about it.
I think women can be very hard on ourselves about that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, guys, if you didn't get to finish or your makeup wasn't doing exactly what you wanted, guys wouldn't notice. But for us, it just makes us feel, if we don't feel good about ourselves, it's harder to have a really fun night
Yeah,
if we're just feeling that
but I
way.
don't know. I mean, it turns into a vicious cycle, though, doesn't it? Because you're thinking about it, and then you feel bad, and then you think about it more, and you feel bad, and you feel bad, and you think about it, and you feel bad, and it's like, now what? Like
Drink alcohol. Makes you forget.
maybe so. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah. But I wanted to, so I'm going to touch on episode 6 now because they come back to Dallas and they're going to their apartments. I guess that the show rents out little apartments for them for the time being while they're filming. And Cole and Zenab are having a conversation. I think a couple of times, once at their apartment and once when they go to his disgusting, nasty apartment.
Man, that was horrible, wasn't it?
Dude,
That was horrible. I was looking at that and thinking, dude, what is happening here? What?
I was eating lunch and I had I was making avocado toast. I had it right at my mouth when they zoomed over to the toilet
Oh
and I
gosh.
wanted to throw. I was like, why would you show that?
Why would you live like that? Not why you show that. How do you not have any cleaning products?
I've been in some nasty guys' apartments.
Oh,
You
that's
explain this to
disgusting.
me, sir.
I can't. Don't get me wrong. My house is not the neatest and tidiest.
You don't have underwear by your TV?
No, I don't. But I'm just saying, like that was a bit too much.
Yeah.
He had dishes everywhere, like a towel on the counter. It was just everywhere.
I'm telling you, I've
was,
been to a lot of guys' apartments and that's typically. But no, they were talking about, Cole had talked to his parents. His parents are really against, I guess, the whole experiment and all that kind of thing. And it's not that they don't want to accept her per se, but it just got me thinking about when you're in a relationship and the family doesn't approve or for whatever reason. Like, yeah, you can take the stance of like, I don't care what your parents think because I'm not marrying them and blah, 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 which is probably what most people will say, but it still hurts, especially because Cole seems very close with his family and they're very religious and things like that. Like, how would you feel? Like, I know you would say like, I'm not marrying them, but wouldn't it still hurt a little bit that like everybody in that family doesn't approve of you for whatever reason?
not hurt. It wouldn't hurt. I don't.
I just think that it can also
But
make things hard in the relationship though. If she's close with her family, like you were talking about, like people influencing and saying things in the outside world and blah, blah, blah. If I go see my parents and every time I see them, they're like, why are you with this guy? He's no good, blah, blah, blah. It's going to sink in and it's going to cause problems when I go home.
No, it doesn't cause problems when you go home unless you let it, because I've been discriminated against. So my ex-wife, not everybody in her family was accepting of the fact that I'm Mexican. That wasn't a thing. So I wasn't accepted right away. And as a matter of fact, without getting too whatever, but yeah, especially her grandfather is a totally different subject. He grew up in I don't know, he was like a cop in the 50s in like Illinois or something like that. But nevertheless, I wasn't accepted. It's not like not everybody anyways. There were some people in her family that did accept me. They came from different, like, hey, whatever.
Was she really close with her grandfather?
No, not
That's what I'm
particularly.
saying.
But nevertheless, but there were other people too. They were influenced, right? So
Yeah.
the either the matriarch or the patriarch, whatever the grandparents are, it leaves some influence. Obviously, you grow up and you learn better, and this, that, and the other. But yeah, and I've dated women before. There was kind of the same thing. They would kind of look at me weirdly and be like, "Oh, like you're dating a Mexican?" I mean, this was way before. And by the way, they just passed a law just to reiterate that interracial marriages are legal. I don't know if I saw that and thought that was weird because they did it for same-sex marriages and interracial. They passed a bill again to basically say, we're not going to change our stance on this.
Oh, okay. I thought but you're not saying this is a new law.
No, it's not a new
Oh,
law,
okay.
but they went back and they said, okay, I don't know why they revisited it, but they were like, okay, let's revisit this and let's pass a law.
Maybe so there's no question. Like,
I guess. But the point being is that, yes, I've been discriminated against, right? And it's that whole thing but I wasn't mad at my partner for it. It wasn't
no,
her
no,
fault.
not
and
that.
it's not going to cause any issues for me. It didn't cause any issues for me or the situation. Again, like you said, I really I'm not marrying your family.
Right.
If they accept me, great. If they don't,
But
I
it's
don't know what to
hard
tell
for the
you.
person who's like, my mother and I are very close.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother would never say that she doesn't approve of whatever. But if she did, let's say she hated my husband, and every time I saw my mom, and because I'm extremely close, we talk all the time. If I'm hearing that constantly, it's hard to not let that seep in. It's going to be hard to not project some of that. And then on our day to day of like, well, then if he does something stupid, or be like, well, in my mind, I'm thinking that's what mom said, like, I don't know. It's hard. So I feel bad for anyone that is in a relationship where the other family doesn't accept them. It's still hard.
I don't know. Like, let's say it was me, and this is just me because I'm different. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that it's somebody, either my family or good friends or whatever, and I've chosen this woman to be my wife, and they don't like her, then I'm just not hanging out with them anymore. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Again, and this is just me because I'm weird. I committed to this person. I made vows to this person that I was going to put you above everybody else, including my own mother, including everybody. Like, I made a vow to you in front of everybody. I took my vows seriously. And this includes my best friend, my acquaintances, my grandmother, my grandfather. And if you don't like her, I don't know what to tell you, because that's what a vow means. It means that I'm putting you above everybody else. Right. There is no other individual that comes before you. Don't get me wrong, I love my mom, and and she raised me and this, that, and the other. But I'm an adult now, and I'm not going to say like we're not going to take care of you. But you have to respect my choices. If one of these days my kids come to me and they have a woman, and let's say she's let's say fast, it makes no difference to me. The way I kind of feel about it is that I've raised you to become a grown man now, and now you get to make your own decisions. And it's very important that you choose the right partner, your life partner. It really is one of the most important decisions that you're ever going to make. But it has to work for you. It doesn't have to work for me. I could care less. I'm not going to be married to this woman. And if you're happy with her, I'm happy for you. Makes no difference with my opinion. Would I go for her? No. Not even a little bit. Nor would I even entertain dating a person like that, but it's not my life. It's yours. I'm going to respect that. I'm going to do it. Now, again, if she acts inappropriately in front of me, I'm going to call her out on that too.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, hey, if you're, let's say she's getting drunk and stumbling all over the place, like, hey, you can't do that. Like,
Right.
you're going to come to my house. Don't get me wrong. You have a good time, party, but you can't like start taking off your clothes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's still my house. Like, yeah, you're married to my son and I love you both, but you can't do that in my house. Like, you just
Right.
have to be respectful. But aside from that, again, if you're happy and you guys are happy, I'm happy for you. It's none of my business. And I take that same approach with all my sisters. So every guy that my sister ever dated or whatever, they, after a while, they knew not to ask me what I thought about them, because I wasn't going to give them an opinion.
Yeah.
It's like, do you like them? Yeah, there you go.
I'm just saying, I still think it can cause a lot of problems in the relationship if the person that the family doesn't like them, if they take that to heart and it seeps in their mind, it's going to affect your relationship. Like you can't help it. Just the same as, when you talk to your friends and if your friends are constantly saying stuff, all it takes is that one fight that you have with your partner and you're like, man, they were all right. Like, I'm just saying.
Don't ever say that. unless you really never want them to reconcile. Don't ever say that. But you know what though? Okay, so talking about that, whether you like it or not, like, and this is on a totally different subject, but still a little bit whatever. Going back to the pool, Alexa was talking with the girls, and she started talking about the intimacy that they had that Alexa was having with Brennan, and how at first it wasn't very good. And then afterwards, after she coached him, after she mentored him, he got better at it or whatever. What is up with that? What is up with women talking about that sort of guy? I'm trying to think of guys. I don't think we ever get that. Like the guys might be like, "Hey, did you score?" I'm like, "Yeah," and that's usually about it, if and when we talk. But I can't remember ever going into too much detail about stuff like that, especially not with, let's say, my fiance.
Why she decided to tell everyone in the world watching that her husband was a 1 minute man, I don't understand.
2 minutes. Oh, give him that extra minute, the guy.
Fine. But that was embarrassing. I wonder what he thinks when he saw that, because that's really embarrassing. And here's my thing on it.
Tell me your thing on it, because I'm going to tell you my thing on it.
I don't ever remember telling a friend about sexual things like that until the relationship was over. Like once it's over, then I can say, "Oh yeah, girl,
Wow,
let me tell you."
that's horrible.
But during, I wouldn't. That's really private. I don't like if I'm with you. I obviously still like respect you and whatever. But yeah, if you did me wrong and the relationship's over, I'm gonna start telling everybody.
Well, but you know what though? I'm not gonna lie to you. Because I do know that women talk. When I saw it caught on camera, it was just like, "Oh wow, look at that."
Proof.
It's like the elusive fox, right?
Yeah.
You never see him. You have to wait like a month before he finally comes out, but then he finally comes out. But anyways, I know women talk. I've heard this before.
Yeah.
So, let's just put it this way. Every time is a performance for me, because it's like, if you're going to talk, I'm going to give you something to talk about.
And that if you're dating someone, chances are her girlfriend probably knows how you perform and all that kind of stuff. And
But here's the thing, and this is what I would, and I've heard this, right? That sometimes if it's good, right? If it's really good, the girl won't brag about it.
Yeah, because she doesn't want other girls.
Yes, that's exactly what they said.
Yep.
That's exactly what she said.
Wouldn't guys be the same way?
I asked a woman that one time, and she was like, "Yeah, if it's good, I'm not gonna brag about it." Like, because I said, like, "Hey, like, are you talking to your friends about me?" She's like, "No." Like, why not? She's like, "Well, I'm not gonna go off and I'm not bragging about myself." But again, for me, it's a performance.
But I'm just saying, if you were with a woman and she was like the best, and you were bragging to your guy friends, wouldn't you think that would plant that idea in their head and start fantasizing?
I mean, if they're my friends, the people that I would have.
Okay, but I mean, like, not like your best friend, but like just people, and you're like, "Oh man, my girl does this thing. Let me tell you." You're planting that.
I don't. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Not for me, anyways. I've never thought of it that way.
Because I've heard other people, and even like on shows and movies and stuff, they talk about it. It's like when you start saying intimate things that they do, you like with them, whatever, it's that other person now has that vision. And if you want to, you may start kind of like trying to slide into their DM or something. Like, "Hey, hi."
I don't know. Like I said, it's. I will say this. For women are typically a lot better at it than guys, is my understanding.
Yes.
I've never been with a guy, so I don't know. But
Well, let me tell
I've heard her horror stories, about like what she was talking about, like it's just like, 2 minutes and then bam, that's over, whatever. And I'm just kind of like, okay. So I've never been that away, right? Don't get me wrong. I'm an adult, and sometimes you have to speed things along if you if you have an appointment or if you're meeting friends or you're going out. Like, okay, we have 15
But I think that's
minutes or
really
something.
personal. I wouldn't tell my friends because I've been with guys that had certain situations and I wouldn't tell this is very personal.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what the rules are with that, but women tend to do that. They share stories again, but it seems like sometimes they share bad stories more than good stories. But I don't know. I'm sure there's some good
It's probably
stories out there.
juicier to talk about the bad stuff.
Yes.
But I don't know why she did that. I think it was really embarrassing. It wasn't necessary. And it's like, maybe if you wanted to tell your really close friend that in secret.
Yeah, I don't know
but
why she
you
wanted to
said
tell
it-
them gals.
Yeah, and on TV.
Because she was telling, who was it? Raven and Zainab, I think.
I
right?
don't remember who she was talking to, but I was just like, dude, why would
Or
you?
Colleen. It was Colleen, I think, maybe. Because she's going to go back and tell, Matt or whatever. She's going to go back and tell her dude. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I would tell if my girlfriend said my husband does something whatever, I would tell my boyfriend like, man, guess what Stephanie told me? Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm gonna tell you, and then he knows. So then when we all go out, it's like he knows the thing too.
Yeah.
I think a lot of stuff needs to be private. Don't tell people about your escapades with your partner. Like I said, if I'm broken up with you, I don't care anymore. If someone but if I'm with you, I'm not going to be telling people that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand why they feel the need to share that information. But anyways, I just wanted to point that out, that like, again, I guess it's what women do, but I just found that a bit strange.
Actually, that's a good segue into my next point, because I was when Raven and SK were in the apartment. I think they had a long night before. He'd gotten some phone calls and stuff, and she was trying to make coffee and this and that. And it made me think about and which was weird too, because the clock, I don't know if you noticed that it said 12:30 in the afternoon, but they acted like they just got up. She was making coffee, couldn't figure out the machine. But
oh yeah, because she couldn't sleep at night, remember?
No, I know, but if I waited till 12:30 to have coffee, I'd be cranky too. But I was just thinking about morning people versus not morning people. I know you and I are early risers. And I I don't understand, because I've been with people and it's like they can sleep until 10 a.m., which is crazy to me.
Yeah,
I can't imagine that. But do you think it's hard? Not hard, it's a deal breaker, but to be in a relationship with someone who's the exact opposite? Or is it kind of nice? Maybe you have time to yourself in the morning.
No, it is nice to have your time by yourself in the morning.
Yeah.
It is nice. And then you can also, if the person that you're with likes to sleep in, you can also go start breakfast and get stuff done. And then, when they wake up, they can all be ready for you. And it's, because I am an early riser, but I will have to say that I do enjoy my alone time in the morning too. I do enjoy being a little bit by myself when everybody else is asleep, kind of walk around. When we go on vacation, kind of the same thing. I'd get up, walk around, do a little bit, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, just put on the news or read or do whatever my routine is. But yeah, no, I think it works. But if they sleep in too late, that's when things start going awry. But
yeah, it's really annoying because you're like, oh, we got to go do stuff. I don't know. It just seems like maybe if you sleep in a little bit, it's okay. But back in the day, I was with someone who did sleep till noon, and it's like, dude, that's too long.
Yeah, no, I agree. My kids, they sleep in. Well, one of them does, the other one not so much.
Yeah.
So, I know you got your thing, but did you want to talk about meeting parents? Or no, not so much, because Bartiz met Nancy's folks.
Yeah, I kind of didn't really bring that up, only because we do that. I mean, every season they have the meet the parents and whatever. But I did want to talk about one thing, because it came up with Bartiz and Nancy and with Brennan and Alexa, the money situation. The women make more money. Get my money, or they have more money. I don't know if Alexa works or she just comes from money. I don't know her situation, but
she never talks about work. I don't know what her little.
She probably
she's a
works
consultant
for her dad. I don't.
Do you remember what her title was whenever they would show?
I think it was I don't.
I don't remember
I thought,
hers. I have it
no,
written down. I can go back and look because I
yeah.
remember I wrote everybody. I'm sorry. Go ahead. So that you were talking about finances, but
But
yeah.
yeah, so Bartiz goes to Nancy's rental property and they're
Mm-hmm.
kind of talking about it. Nancy's very established. Bartiz is a little bit younger. He clearly doesn't have anything. Brennan, he's older, but he's still, he just doesn't have that kind of lifestyle. So,
Prenup is what Alexa told.
well, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
But I mean, you don't know that person. You gonna get half of what I have because you've been with me for a week?
So, so I'm going to circle back around because this is how I feel about it is if either you're in or you're not in.
But I can't speak for what the other person's going to do. Let's say that they get married and a week later Brennan has an affair and now I have to give you half of everything. Nope.
My philosophy or my theory, and this is just my theory, if you have any kind of exit plan, and I mean any kind of exit plan, you're going to exit. It's as simple as that. That's just been my philosophy. I've never heard a situation. I never heard a story where people were married for 70 years and they were like, yeah, we were married, but from the get-go, I had my own bank account and I was ready to leave whenever. If he ever acted up, I was ready to go. They never say that. These 70-year marriages, these 60-year marriages, never did they say like, yeah, I love him and we've been together, but I always had my escape plan no matter what. Like it was always ready to go. It's like, no, if you have one, you're going to leave. It's as simple as that. And that's just me personally. I've heard it say in other analogies where I think it was like Eddie Murphy. And he said, look, if this is what you want to do, it's your plan A, don't make a plan B. Because if you make a plan B, you're going to fall back on that plan B every single time. So either go forward and that's your only objective and you're going to make it or die. It's as simple as that.
I'm not saying that I don't agree with some of what you're saying. You're right. You shouldn't have like, here's my backup plan, but I cannot control what other people do. And if you decide to have an affair a week after we're married and then I try to divorce you and now you get half of everything I've worked my entire life for, I'm sorry. That's not, to me, that's not like me having like, oh, I got like a backup dude just in case, but I can't control what you do. You could hurt me in the most unimaginable way.
I agree. But that's the whole point of marriage. That's the whole point of commitment. That's why it's a risk. And that's why I keep on saying it. People think I'm joking when they were like, oh, yeah, it's the most important thing. It's like, no, it's the most important decision of your life. You're either going to be extremely happy or extremely miserable because of the scenario you just pointed out, where I worked all this time to accumulate all this wealth or whatever. Now all of a sudden I'm divorced. They take half. They take my kids. They take all this. You made a bad choice. It's as simple as that. So for me, I don't take marriage lightly. If you're going to get married, you're either all in or you're not.
But both people have to be
yes,
all in.
I agree.
But that's what I'm saying.
I agree.
You don't know what your other person is going to do.
But that's what I'm saying. No one knows what the other person's going to do.
Like, but I'm just saying,
know the future.
I'm not going to work my whole life and save and have all these things just for I meet you a week later. I mean, I know it's different in this scenario, but like, and then you get half. Sorry. But anyways, my point was,
I digress.
How do you think the majority of men feel about the woman making more money?
I don't think they particularly care anymore. I have seen situations where the woman makes more money than the man, but she doesn't let that dictate the relationship because the finances are an important part, but it's not the only part.
Well, a lot of people will throw it in their face though in a fight or something.
And that's a
terrible
path to it's just not going to work.
Right.
But as long as that doesn't happen, as long as they're not throwing it. I mean, look, we're talking about Love is Blind, which is Nick Lachey, right? Nick Lachey was married to Jessica Simpson at the time, and he was in 98 Degrees. Nick Lachey, when they were going to get married, he made way more money than Jessica Simpson did at that time. He wanted a prenup. Jessica Simpson's dad says, nope, you're going to marry my daughter and y'all going to share everything. And that's all it is to it. Nick Lachey said, okay, fine.
And how long were they married?
I don't know. But during that marriage, her worth went way up. 98 Degrees went out. They had the reality show, but she made a ton more money. When he left, he ended up taking her stuff. He ended up way better out of that deal. Roseanne Barr and Arnold, what's I forget?
Tom Arnold.
Tom Arnold. Same situation. He was somewhat successful. He's a comedian, whatever. Roseanne Barr had her show, made a butt ton of money. Guess what? They broke up. He took half her stuff too. So it happens, and nobody knows what the future is going to hold. But that's the whole point of marriage. It is a lifelong commitment. That's the way I look at it. Shouldn't be any divorce unless, there's certain circumstances that happen. Whether a guy, now again, if she throws it in his face, that's when it becomes a problem. If she starts trying to dictate the relationship because she earns more money, and don't get me wrong, men have been, let's say the thing that had happened before in the past was that women want to be more independent, right? It's like we want to be independent. We don't want to stay married to the man just because, like, I've never worked. I stayed at home, and now I don't have any skill sets to get a job on my own. So I'm stuck with this guy forever, right? So they want to be more independent. That's fine. Whether or not that should play a part in your relationship, I don't know. For me, if I was with a woman that made more than me, I make a pretty good living, so it wouldn't matter to me too much. I'm pretty secure, like I don't. It's great, but by no means am I going to also be bullied by her either.
I think
like
a lot of guys,
like Oprah and what's his name? Oprah and
Stanford or
Stefan.
Stetson.
I don't know. Stefan? Yeah. Stetson? It starts with an S.
Yes.
There you go.
It's
Anyways,
something like that.
But obviously she's in billions. He does well though. He's an attorney.
But that's what I'm saying. I think a lot of guys, if let's say you had a normal job, you're making 40,000 a year and you get with someone who's making 150, guys feel like they're supposed to be their providers and all that kind of stuff. I know a lot of guys that would bother them.
Some, but I mean, the culture has changed quite a bit. I mean, I'm telling you, I've gone out with women that didn't like me to open up the door for them. They thought that was misogynistic. I don't know how to deal with that. I don't. So it's like, okay, great. And they want to pay for dinner sometimes too, and they want to do this and they want to do that, and it's like, okay, great.
I've opened up the door. Isn't that just polite? I would open up the door for someone who was coming behind me that I didn't know. Isn't that just being like?
I don't know what the rules are anymore. I couldn't tell you.
You don't know what to do.
I don't.
You stand at the door and just like, well, what do I do?
But again, whether you make more than me or less than me, it doesn't matter. As long as you're not talking to me crazy, we're good. Now, again, if there's this is the way you are. I want to be this way and I want to be that way. I want to be independent. I want to pay for meals. If I'm with a woman that says that, great, wonderful. Let's do that. So long as you're not throwing it in my face and saying, well, I make more money than you. It's like, whoa. Easy there. Mm. Now we got a problem because now you're bringing in something that shouldn't, unless let's say I'm not working and I'm at home for, 2 or 3 years without working and I'm not really doing anything at home either. I'm not fulfilling that, whatever. But nowadays, there's a lot of women that work and guys stay home. Like a stay-at-home dad is a thing now.
Yeah.
It's way more of a thing now.
It can work if you respect the other person. But I think that maybe as a woman, I can say that is probably one of our fears of staying at home and not having any income because we don't have a say. And I've seen it time and time again. It's like, yeah, my husband won't let me get this thing. And his excuse is like, well, I make the money. I should be able to make the decisions. That's what they say. So
what 1950 couple are you dealing with over there?
I don't know. But yeah, so this was episode 5 and 6. It was a lot in there. We're over halfway. I think there's like 11 episodes or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So
good journey.
There we are.
Yeah. Woo.
Okay, till next time.
Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.